Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Moxie Buck. I'm joined today by Jacinda Wallace. We're gonna mix things up a bit when talking about my poem, God of the Daughters. She's actually gonna be interviewing me. So it'll be fun and I'm so excited to have her on my show.
Yay, thanks for having me.
Yes.
So the first question I really want to ask is just what is the overall message you wanted to send with this poem?
So for me, I guess in my journey, especially the past year with God and Jesus, has just been just how personal it is. And I feel like, at least my experience with the church, often women are left out of the conversation and left out of the unique relationship with Jesus. And I just feel like there is something very special about the way women interact with Jesus and the way Jesus interacts with women all through the Gospels. So yeah, that was kind of just playing on that theme and really highlighting how Jesus saw women and the way women reacted to Jesus in that special relationship.
Yeah, that's great. And so just to like kind of touch a little more on what you mentioned, there are these specific lines. He was the redemption for Eve's fall. And what was your thoughts there? Because it's a repeated line.
Yeah.
So, what were
your thoughts it's there? Interesting because when I first, I guess, got the inspiration to even write that, I was kind of scared of it. It felt a bit heretical because I'd never heard the idea of course, if you're familiar with the Bible, in Genesis when, the fall happens, Eve's given, and women through Eve is given a very specific curse that our desire will be for our husbands and they will rule over us. And I was just thinking about it because Jesus had been presented to me as the breaker of all the curses, the breaker of the curses of the fall, but I never heard it applied specifically to that curse. And so when that idea occurred to me, I was like, this seems like I'm saying something really extreme. But the more I thought about it and prayed through it, the more it made sense. And just, I mean, if he's the answer to all the other curses, why not that curse? And and again, it just goes back to the very special relationship that Jesus and women can share.
Yeah. And what would you say, like, you want your readers to feel about their, specifically women, their relationship with Jesus?
I want them to feel like it's really personal. I want them to feel special. I want them to feel invited in. I know for me particularly, Jesus has really been wooing me this year, and it's been really romantic and magical, especially for single women. There's something just really special there that Jesus can provide for us and give us if we let him. That too often is not talked about, like I said. And I know there are some churches and some way of thinking that basically once you have a husband, it goes Jesus, your husband, and then you, and your husband is kind of standing in between you and Jesus. And that's not, I don't agree with that. I think we each person has your own individual relationship with Jesus. And so really, just highlighting that and highlighting just how much women are appreciated and loved in the Gospels and in the Bible entirely. And we're not left out. And just kind of taking our voices back that way. Yeah,
well, like touching on women, you mentioned sisters, beloved, Mary. Why that choice? What was your thoughts there? If you don't mind sharing.
For sisters and beloved, it was just that deep connection, like the deep resonance that, this happened almost 2,000 years ago now, but I could see myself in them, and a lot of their experience is true to all women, in the way that just relational aspect. It was the empathy part, and then just speaking Mary's name, just also just like I see you and I understand and I feel connected. And it was just that connection to these women from long ago.
Yes. So through that, who's the narrator?
I guess me, but also I want anyone who reads it to be able to put themselves as the narrator.
So present day person who's reading it.
Yeah, that you also feel that connection to these women. You feel that empathy for them, and you see how much Jesus loves you too, and that special relationship. So, yeah, ideally the narrator is whoever's reading it is having this encounter with God and with these women and feel that empathy too.
Yeah. Well, speaking on the relationship with women, so this takes a drastic change and turn in the end. We go from Jesus' birth to his crucifixion to resurrection to present day. What it felt like when I read it, I was like, oh, now we're like, this is today how women are seen with men. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
That was completely intentional. Yes. Yeah, good call. I definitely wanted to bring it back to us. It wasn't just for people for women who walked with Jesus present, with him present and physically and bore witness to the life of Jesus. It's for us today too. It's similar similar struggles with that feeling invisible and the pressure to be a certain way and to be kind of less than in a lot of ways. And sadly, I see that in the church too often, that women are encouraged to be less than and kind of just little church mice or doormats or whatever. And that wasn't Jesus's ideal.
Right.
And it is not what really is expected of us. And so I wanted to bring it back to, we're free to just have Jesus as our authority, and we're free to just love him and to be all that we are without having to minimize ourselves to fit into the box that's expected of us.
Yeah, I think that's very brave. That makes me feel like women empowerment. So that's very inspiring.
Yeah.
So if a man were to read this poem, because of course you have readers of all genders, because there's all kinds of them. So male and female, what were your thoughts there when you were writing? You're like, oh, if a man read this, did you? Yeah.
That's a good question. I probably I was definitely thinking more of the female reader as I wrote it. But it is a good question. As I was reading, and as I was recording the video for that poem, I was thinking, I'm like, I wonder if guys are going to sit through this. But I think I would hope that the men also can feel that empathy and that appreciation for just how Jesus valued women. And if they struggle with that, maybe it's a little bit of, an encouragement to kind of change how they see women and just also be fellow encouragers of women and fellow, encouragers of letting women be all that they are and to let go of the expectations placed on them. And because I do hope that both men and women enjoy this poem. I think far too often we think of the men's stories in the Bible as for everyone, but the female stories in the Bible for just women. And
so, really good point.
Yeah, and but everything in the Bible is for everyone. So male or female, you should be able to take something out of Mary Magdalene's story, or Mary, Jesus's mother, or all of that. So I hope that men also connect to it.
Yes, that's great. Okay. Was there anything that you wanted to share for the readers that we may not have touched on that?
You asked really great questions. I really appreciate you doing this. Because I don't know if I would have gone this deep on my own. Just kind of, just to circle back on your last question a little bit, I do hope that men also realize that they can have really intimate personal relationships with Jesus too. I think Jesus wants to woo them too if they let him. I know it in our culture that feels a bit awkward, and I think that's easier for women to step into. But Jesus really wants intimate relationships with all of us, and so I hope everyone who hears that poem receives that. That's a big takeaway.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for answering these great questions. I'm sure your viewers will have maybe more questions.
Definitely comment below if you do.
Yes, and subscribe.
Yes, thank you. All right, thank you, Jacinta.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yes. Bye, guys.